And welcome once again to another fantastic video. My name is Dr. Wasabi, and in today's video, I might say, we are going to do something very special. Usually we do a bit of discovery on what we found in the FNAF Ruin DLC through live streams and whatnot, but I thought it would be really nice to do some theory crafting for you folks on a character that has been of some nostalgia to me, and of course I'm talking about our man DJ Music Man. DJ Music Man as a character is one of the most large, or I would say the largest characters in the entire FNAF series, being rivaled by only, I think, the Blob. And of course, the Blob is actually visible in Five Nights at Freddy's Ruin. You can see him very briefly at the start, which kind of begs the question, if something as big as the Blob can survive what essentially happened at the Pizzaplex, then logic dictates that surely Music Man can find something as well, at least in my opinion. Now, the Blob actually leads us to a pretty funny point, and that is the general state of decay in the Pizzaplex at the time of Ruin. We basically know that the Blob is responsible, at least in some part, because of the just really damaged structural integrity that could have only been caused by some kind of tunneling underneath the Pizzaplex, or kind of in between the sort of crucial support structures that kind of keep it together. Because, you know, let's be realistic about this place is huge, and I bet it would be an architectural nightmare to actually build this place in real life. So I know FNAF isn't really based in physics, but in these kind of things there is usually a logical kind of flow to it, if you get what I mean. Now, what I really kind of am talking about here, I know it might sound like I'm rambling on, but there is kind of method to my madness, folks. The sort of thing that I'm sort of talking about is when we go into the arcade, you know, the West Arcade where DJ Music Man is, there is definitely a more tight sounding kind of environment around the DJ, and of course the general arcades. There's loads of pillars. It's not exactly as wide open as the atrium in, you know, the kind of main space in the middle of the Pizzaplex, which, look, let's be honest, if this has had like a major earthquake or some kind of structural you know, shockwave from the Blob, that atrium probably ain't gonna be there anymore. I mean, let's be honest, folks. So we have to really beg the question, if the atrium and other parts of the Pizzaplex have collapsed essentially, then there's either two scenarios for this. Either the West Arcade, or, you know, the Fazcade, or whatever you want to call it, where DJ Music Man is, has basically collapsed alongside it, at which point Music Man is probably buried under, you know, thousands of tons of rubble. Or we could go with the second sort of alternative, is that, you know, maybe because of the structural supports in the arcade, maybe the part where DJ Music Man is still standing. I mean, to be fair, like, walking through Chica's Bakery, if places like this can relatively go unscathed without completely collapsing in on themselves, then, you know, logic might argue that the same could be said for where DJ Music Man is, at least in my opinion. But that really begs the question, in my opinion, like, if Music Man is still out there, then where exactly is he? Because, you know, let's be honest, every character that has survived the collapse, at least after Security Breach, has shown up in Ruin. We have Monty Gator, we have Chica, and her cupcake chowder. We have Freddy, of course, Glamrock Freddy, and of course we have Roxanne. Now, of course, they are in states of damage. Monty is basically feral at this point, but they are still here in one form or another. So it might be interesting to theorize what sort of form DJ Music Man might take if he is indeed still functional and hasn't basically been crushed by thousands of tons of rubble. So, you know, it's like a creature of his size. I'm imagining something like, you know, maybe he's very kind of rusted, you know, some of his legs are missing, but he's somewhat intact. If the DJ arcade has basically withstood the force of whatever happened here, then most likely he shouldn't be too damaged because of his size. But again, we have to wait and see for that. I know Ruin and Steel Wool has kind of surprised us with some of the designs, so it will be quite interesting if they do bring DJ Music Man back, where he might actually be, and of course what he might look like, as I know a lot of people have made custom models of a kind of ruined DJ Music Man. It's been really interesting, the sort of creative diversity of the different interpretations, at least in my opinion, and I think that's the one of the striving strengths of this series. Again, not to go on too much of a side tangent, but it is really interesting to see the different interpretations of how a ruined DJ Music Man might look like, and so on. Now, the other possibility is that we find DJ Music Man in some completely different place. They could pull a good old Scott Cawthon switcheroo and completely surprise us about where he is. I have no idea what kind of underground caverns are underneath the kind of arcade, because for some reason they built this pizzeria on not only a burnt down Freddy Fazbear establishment, which of course is in the lore, but for some reason there's just all of these cave systems and, you know, underground passageways. I'm actually surprised that this Pizzaplex survived at all with the amount of underground caverns that's underneath this place, because that can't be anything good for the structural integrity, let me tell you. But to put not too fine a point on it, folks, because of the kind of wild nature of what's been happening underground, at least underneath the Pizzaplex, it could be that somehow DJ Music Man has escaped the arcade. You know, maybe a tunnel has opened up to the deeper parts of the map, you know, because at the end of Ruin, we do see that there is an underneath to the underneath, so to speak. You know, underneath the FNAF 6 pizzeria, this is the huge tunnel system, and stuff like that. So it's really interesting to see where they might take this. Again, we could be completely wrong. He might even be just a static sort of body that we find, at least in a next DLC or what have you. But what my gut is essentially telling me is that we will see him again, at least in one form or another. Now, again, that could be, you know, we find his body or we find something else, and he's sort of damaged and feral. But it is really interesting that they would leave the one character out, because, you know, we've got Moon, we've got Sun, we've got Eclipse, we've got the entire Security Breach gang, at least displayed in the main game. So every character except Glamrock, Bonnie, I see, and of course DJ Music Man has been seen in the main game. Well, Glamrock Bonnie was in the Ruin game, but you know what I mean, folks. Every main character from Security Breach has been seen in Ruin, with the exception of the human characters, but it just really begs the question, like, what has happened to DJ Music Man? And it's just really nice kind of theorizing what's happened to him, because, you know, he is a really iconic character, even in his more small versions in FNAF 6. He's always been sort of a meme character, at least in my opinion, so it is really important, I think, to see his story sort of closed or go on, at least in that way. But I'm really hopeful to see what his character can offer. Steel Wool has done a fantastic job doing a more linear game experience, at least with FNAF Ruin, so it'll be really nice to see what they do with DJ Music Man. It's something that's in their pocket at the moment. They could choose to do something with him or not. I suppose we have to wait and see, but that's the risk we have to take when we theorize about stuff like this. We could be completely wrong, and that's okay. In terms of actual like encounters, DJ Music Man has always been one of those one-off encounters which has a really good flow to the sort of gameplay, because, you know, I don't know about you, but DJ Music Man's theme is an absolute bop, let me tell you. It's just sort of him kind of walking around all the different areas, so it's really interesting to see how they might implement it. The way that it was implemented in the game is that with the arcade, he was given loads of room to walk around in. Maybe in some, you know, down the line DLC, he might be given a big arena that we can fight him, or he might be our ally. It really kind of comes down to whether Steel Wool is willing to kind of chip in DJ Music Man, so to speak, onto their deck of cards. It's just really interesting to see what they might come up with. I'm going to be honest, obviously we are spitballing here, we are theorizing, but that's okay. It's just really interesting to see how they might kind of integrate him into the next story. It may be a next DLC, we don't know. If this DLC is anything to tell by what they're doing now, then I'm really hopeful to see not only for FNAF, but the general character of DJ Music Man. Now, of course, I want to say this for the 5th time, I could be completely wrong here. They might just have his face sticking out of a bit of rubble. We have to be very, very careful not to jump the gun too much, even for a beloved character like our man DJ Music Man. So, to summarize, where is DJ Music Man right now? My gut is telling me that he is most likely trapped in the arcade or underneath a bunch of rubble. Will we see him again? Most likely yes. I can't imagine they would keep a character like DJ Music Man on hold for very long. Whether that be as a sort of reference or a character interaction, I think it's very possible that Steelwool would actually take that character and do something really cool with it. Do I have any evidence for this? No, none at all. I gotta be honest, folks, you know, that's the kind of thing with theorizing. You're just kind of spitballing and talking your mind, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. It's really nice to just sort of, you know, kind of pick your brain, so to speak, about these sort of things. Because, you know, theorizing is the lifeblood of the FNAF community, at least on par with the art community, because, you know, those kind of go hand in hand, at least in my opinion. So there we go, folks, a quick little theorizing video on what has happened to DJ Music Man, whether we might see him again in a kind of down the line installment of Five Nights at Freddy's or a different DLC. It was really fun to sort of theorizing this. A commenter actually talked about this. I can't remember whether it was in a live stream or a comment, but it kind of piqued my interest at that point, so I decided to make a video on it. Now, don't worry, folks, I will be making more FNAF videos. I just need to figure out what I want to talk about and what is interesting, at least in my opinion, relating to, of course, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach and, of course, Five Nights at Freddy's Ruin. So I do hope you like these videos of me just rambling on like an absolute lunatic as I walk around aimlessly in the ruined Pizzaplex. It's actually been really fun doing these videos, and I do hope you enjoy. My name has been Dr. Wasabi. Of course, if you do like what I do, please like and subscribe. Of course, I bid you a most pleasant good evening, and of course, as always, God bless. And now, folks, it is time to say good night. We sincerely appreciate your viewing and hope we've succeeded in providing you with an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Stay happy and come back again soon. Good night.